everybody, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be working on something really fun. And it's a little bit outside the box, and I watched a video on a lady making it, and I'm going to tweak it to my own liking. I'm using Odulcina's digital. So just kind of watch me as I make this and have some fun with me. So I'm using a piece of butcher paper. I have this big roll of butcher paper, and I'm going to kind of figure out how large I want to make this. It's going to be a little mini journal, and I want to make it so this fits. Found my box. If you guys ever have the opportunity to try these Maria cookies, I'll leave the link below. My husband and I are hooked. They're cheap cookies, very simple, and we love them. Anyways, I'm going to take a piece of this off here to use that for the main part of it. And I'm thinking I might have to gesso. Well, let's see if we see it. So I want to make this book a little small. I don't want to make it too large. I'm wondering if this is going to be too small. This is going to be used basically in a journal as ephemera. So my thing is I don't really want to see through this. That's not too bad, actually. I'm okay with that. So we're going to use this, and we're going to cover this with it. But first, what we're going to do, that other side you're going to be able to see. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and gesso this, and that'll cover it so we don't see. So I decided to make it a little larger. This one was a little bit too small for what I'm going to do. So that's what I ended up doing from an old file folder. Now you want 2 pieces of thicker paper, and I'm using this like a prototype for the size that I want. And I probably could even go a little bit bigger. But our book is going to open up in this direction, I believe. See where it takes us. So I'm using this thick paper. You want it to be thick, so you want to use like a homemade paper. It just makes it a little easier for what we're doing. Okay, now we have these done. I just made them a little bit larger than my prototype was because I want them to fit in here. And I can always just trim them down a little bit after. And I might have the book go in this direction. We have to see. The next step is going to be to decorate the cover of this. And this is where I chose a piece of this paper. And you want it to fit larger. You want it to hang over because you're going to fold it. And it does not look, let me see if this one's any bigger. Yeah, that one's a little bit larger. So we'll go with this one because we're going to fold over the edges. What I'm going to do now is we're going to wrinkle up our paper. And then we're going to wrinkle it up again. Now we're going to take the distressed oxide, and I'm going to use this antique linen because I'm going to make mine a little more shabby chic. And I'm going to take a paper towel and just blot off the top a little to make it not look as severe. Now, I have some pink in my spool thread, so I think what I'm going to do is add a little pink to this. I found a really pale pink. So I'm just going to take it and brush it over just to give it some little pops of pink. Then I took a paper towel and just lightly rubbed it over to blend it in a little bit. So this is going to be our cover. Fold this over. So we want to make sure we leave enough room to fold that over. And that's going to be our cover. Find a little bit of a deeper pink that I'm going to add. There we go. I like that look when I blot it down like this. Look at that. You could probably do this on any journal cover. I got it on my glass. Now I'm just going to mix it in a little bit. Let's see if you can see that. You can do this with any type of paper. I've seen it done on several YouTube videos. A lot of people create covers this way. So now I'm going to choose my inside piece. Scrap, and I absolutely love it. I wish I could find more. It's actually from the 80s. Now I want to trim these edges up so when I fold them over, they don't look all tattered on the edges. Just gonna just barely do it, just to make it a little even. I just love the textured feeling. Even the other side is kind of cool looking too. This actually was a, you can see here, it was a bag. So this is going to go on the outside, and I still need to take just a little bit more off. I'm not going to have that much folded over, but I think we'll be okay. I think that'll be good. And I think we're going to need to trim this just a tad bit. I want this to be, this is going to be the inside. Now I cut that down. We're going to add this first, and just make sure you're going to add it inside of your booklet, like this. So we're just going to use this because it's not going to show. And let's put it all over. Corners and everywhere. And again, it's not going to matter which way we put this down. There. Just going to grab my folding bone and push it into place like this, just so it sticks. And then we'll go to the other side, and we're going to do this to the other side as well. Should be good. That is really cool looking. So I'm just gonna glue the paper. Whoops. And I should trim these corners just a tad so we get an even fold and it doesn't look like it's bulging. Do the same with these. You know, I don't have a rhyme or reason if I do my sides first or my bottoms first. What do you guys do? Let me know in the comments. Do you tend to fold up your bottoms first or your sides first? Then I'm going to go back around with my folding bone just to make sure it's all down the way we want it to be. Now we have the outside done. I'm just going to let this dry a little bit because it's still tacky. I don't want my glue sticking to my papers. I'll be right back. Next, you want to let your cover dry. You want to see which two of the pages are thicker. These are pretty comparable thickness. I think I'm going to use this one. So you want to take and figure out if we're going to do it, open it this way. And I'm beginning to think this piece might even be a little too big for that. I have these other ones as well that may fit. That may fit a little better. So I think I'm going to cut that one out. Yeah, this seems to fit a little bit better. I love this, but it's a little too wide on the edges. So we're going to take a pencil. Let me see if I can find a pencil. If not, I got to search for one. And we're going to trace around the edges. I want a pencil. My husband uses these they remind me of kids, the fat pencils the kids used to use. So you want to trace around that. Whoops. You don't want to trace on your piece. What I'm going to do is I'm going to distress around the corners of this one that I tend to use a lot. I have the other one too, but I think this needs to be re-inked. Then we need to decide too if we want to ink around here. I think I like to add a little. It just gives it a little pop. And I realized what I ended up doing was I flipped this around the other way, the opposite. This out top should have been gone down first, and then this after. So that's an easy fix, and it's just going to make my cover a little sturdier. I can just go around and use this piece that I have. And I'm going to trim that and then just glue that on top. That's the way it should be, not the cover over the edge. But like I said, that's just going to give it a little more stability. Now I'm going to put this on top where it should go. There we go. Use that old folding bone again. And again, it's not perfect. So I'm going to let this dry. And then I'll be back. Next, you want to cut. You can use a scissors or whatever you want. I have these super thin scissors I found. Let's see how good these are. Whoops, they're not good at all. Oh, there we go. You want to go a little bit outside of the pencil line that you cut. Just a hair over the pencil line. And we're going to create sort of almost like a puzzle piece. And it's going to fit inside. There. Let's just make sure this fits. And it does. You just want just a hair over. See how that's just a little bit over? Next, we're going to take our pencil again. And we want this to be a little bit smaller when we do this, to fit a little snugger on the inside. So I think when I hold my pencil on the outside, there's enough of a piece that, how can I explain it? It goes out far enough to make it a little bit smaller. And then we're gonna trim that. One thing you want to keep in mind, we are stacking these papers. We're not gonna put them inside each other, we're stacking them. So now what you want to do when you do it, so you want to make sure you're cutting on the bottom of one and the top of the other, because then what we're going to do is we're going to open them up and we're going to glue these together like this. Let's see the best way to glue this. And then we're going to line these up. Oops. There. We're going to do this. Now, if you find that your papers aren't thick, you can add more. So then it's going to be like this. That'll be your middle piece. So I just want this to stay inside here when I close my my book. It's a little curled here, but I can fix that. So then our next step is going to be, we're going to take this. We're going to figure out, though, first, I want to add something to the back of this, because when we pull this out, the music is kind of cute. When we pull this out, you're going to see the back of that. I mean, you could always make it so you see this, because this is going to be glued onto here. And I just want to be able to cut it, because you're not going to see it, because I'm going to glue it down on here. So I just need to cut a piece off. Yeah, like this. So if I glue this down, it's going to look like this. And I'm going to glue this down on top of this, like that. So I don't want to glue this whole sheet, because I don't want to glue, I don't want to glue that. So I'm just going to glue around the edges of. So there you can see that. I'm going to glue this piece on here. So this piece is going to be glued onto the back. Let me just fold this. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So this is the cover of our little book. And here are some of our pages, and it's dry enough. This is going to be our little hidden secret spot. So when you close the book, it's inside the book, and you got to take it out. This is a little bit bent a little bit, but once I close this, it's gonna stay in. This is just not flat. So I found a cute stamp that I have. It is a tailor-made stamp, and it says the dressmaker. So I think I'm gonna add that on top. And I'll come up with something else for the other part. I need to be super careful because I don't want to mess this up. So I'm going to remove this. There really is no mistakes. Like I've said, we kind of find a way to always fix them. I always hold my breath to make sure it comes out okay. There, not too bad. And then I could actually ink around here as well. And that'll make it stand out quite a bit, I think. I should have done it probably before I added the music sheet, but I didn't. So I'm just gonna kind of skate around it now. It's coming off the edge a little, but it kind of looks cool, I think. And then that'll sit in here. And I might need something on the bottom. I've got this great piece of lace. It's so pretty. Look at this. I think it would look really pretty if I positioned it like this and wrapped it around like this. If I really wanted to, I could even leave a pocket here. So I'm going to cut this down. I think that's going to look really pretty. Oh, did I cut that? I did. Sometimes these are inside out and you really have to look at them to tell. But I think this is going to be really pretty. Now I have to decide whether I'm going to keep this little piece here or am I going to round it. I think I might round that piece. Guys, I've been really having some crazy stuff the last week. My daughter is 9 months pregnant, and then I find out that my best friend's husband passed away, and we have his services on Thursday, providing my daughter isn't in labor, because I'm going in the delivery room with her. And if that's the case, I will send my husband along. So I have this, and I probably could still trim it down a little bit more on top, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to adhere it. Now, my other thing is, we could take a piece. I have, I hear my chimes. I have a piece of this sari silk. I have a few other pieces too, which we could take a piece. I could cut it if I can find the end. Actually, that kind of looks pretty, that color. So what I could do is take the sari silk. See, I don't like when it does this. So I cut that little piece. It annoys me. So we could take this sari silk and glue this down first. Let's just see how it looks. And then we could put our piece of lace, oops, I just got to see which way, over the top of this. So then we have our tie here to be able to tie it. And we can figure out what else we want to add on here. We could add a cool button on here. I have so many cool buttons. This happens to be one of my favorites right here, but I'd have to take the shank off. It's one of those mother of pearl buttons, but how beautiful. I think that would look really, really, really pretty. So I'm going to glue this down, and I'll use the Fabri-Tac glue. Now what I can do, oops, is I can iron this. Oh, I'm dropping everything. So I could iron this down a little bit, out a little bit, and then I could, so that way it doesn't show as much through this lace. So I decided to iron this down a little bit. I'm going to add the Fabri-Tac, but I'm going to be very careful because it will go through. And I'm going to take my finger and just rub it. There. And I'll fold this over. And you shouldn't be able to see through that. Good, and we can't. Perfect. And then I'm going to do the same to the other side. And then we're going to fold that over. This way, It's a little smoother when I add that lace. And I'm going to try to, there we go. I'm going to add just a little of this Fabri-Tac. I love this stuff. I know I keep saying that, you guys. I think I go through probably about, oh gosh, maybe a dozen bottles a year. So I'm trying to just hide it where there are thicker parts on here. So you don't need to watch me do this. I'm going to go and do this, and I'll be back as soon as I have this all added. I added that all the way around, and I still feel as though I need something here. I don't want to add too much on here, just because this is supposed to go inside a pocket. So I'm kind of liking that. Let me go grab a few other things and see what I can. So I picked out a few things that would look good. I showed you this button right here that I'd have to pull that shank off. This kind of looked pretty. It kind of flowed in, I thought, nicely with this lace. But it might be just too much of the color. We might need a little pop. And then we could add this one. Fix these beads to give this a little bit more of a pop. I also had just this pearl, and if I did just the pearls, maybe I could find a little pink to go underneath that, just to lift it. I feel it needs to be lifted. This I don't think is the right shade. It just doesn't look right. And I pulled this out too, which was kind of cute, but I still think it needs a pop of pink. So what I think I'm going to do, I really like this. I think I'm going to find something to put underneath it. See if I have any pink, something, cheesecloth or something. I have this pink color here. I have a whole box of goodies that Anne sent me because I'm on her design team. And it's kind of funny. I go to the box when I'm needing something. So I could potentially add this. This is where it takes me so darn long. And then add this on top. So it would look something like this. But I'm not so sure. Of course, I'm not. Or do we even need that? You know, I think this is way too small. It just, and I tried this. It just, if I gathered it, we probably could do something like this under it. I'll show you. So I'm still leaning towards either cutting this shank off and just keeping it, or giving a little more frill here. So let me think on that one. I pulled a few more things out. I wasn't totally sold on the plain things, so I pulled out other bling that I have here. And I thought, I have all this paint I can't get off of me. Anyways, I thought that I'd put this down just to give it some more depth. And these are the few items I had. This is pretty, but it's not giving me that pop that I want. Let's try this one. It's nice, but I'm not liking the shape. It's okay, but it's kind of heavy. I liked this one too, but it's way too heavy for it because it's not a heavy journal. This would be good on a larger journal. I had this, which is absolutely gorgeous, but again, we're talking weight. This is a small journal, and this is pretty heavy. And I loved this, but I'm on the fence because, again, it's a big one. And I think that it might be just a little too large for the small journal. And then we came to this, which is this color, and it gives me that pop that I'm looking for. It kind of brings the whole thing front and center, I think. And I almost still would like to see a little bit of coffee stained, maybe cheesecloth. So I'm gonna go see if I can find some. I found this, which this netting might look good underneath here. So I'm gonna trim that. I also found the coffee dye. So let me move this aside. I have so many different little embellishment things. This might be a little too big, but if I take it, when I glue it down and scrunch it, I could do this, and it kind of mutes the back. So let's see how we like this cheesecloth. So I can kind of move this in. You know what? That's giving me that look. So that's what we're gonna go with. I'm gonna go heat my glue gun up and I'll be right back. I ended up finding this sari silk tie that I'm gonna add with this one. And this is also from Odulcina. And I ironed it out a little bit just so I could adhere it down. So I'm gonna just put a little down on here just to get it to stay down. And then I'm going to add, whoops, this. My other glue gun, I did something to it. Ooh, that burns. So I need to get another one. I jam it. I don't know how I do, but I do. And I got the other one jammed. And that's gonna go right on top. There we go. I'm liking that look. So now I'm gonna turn this around. And I'm just gonna do a little dab, just enough to hold on to it. Then we can hang something from here if we want, or we can just tie it. I'm still not good at making bows. I'm probably gonna trim this one down a little bit, but there's the little mini journal. And I might add this here. I haven't fully decided. And this is our little piece that stays right in here. This is nice for writing space right here. This is a little rough, so I could even put down a piece of paper if I wanted to for writing. But you could write on that. This is definitely rough. So I'm leaning on the lines of adding that. That's too much. And I can add a piece of lace behind it. I just don't want to bulk this up. So I might even just leave it. That actually looks nice there as well. So I think for now, and then figure out and put it away when I make a journal, I'll pull that out and use that. So I'm just gonna trim the ends of this sari silk so it's equal to this, and I'll save the scraps. I want to thank everybody for stopping by. You have a fantastic day. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.